Hey gang, welcome back to Guns Up Review. Today we're going to be talking about these scary black guns. Well, this one's too scary. We'll talk about this one because it's not even hard. It's a lot that's not black even. We're going to talk about today how to clean your AR-15. Come right back. Okay, welcome back to Guns Up Review. Today we're talking about how to properly clean and care for your AR-15 rifle. Okay, this is one of my very favorite ones. This is one I built many years ago, and sadly I have treated it very poorly, and it is very dirty. The bolt has never been disassembled and taken apart. I have taken apart, cleaned it, and oiled it, just the major parts, but not down to the detail where it should be. So today I'm going to show you how to do that, how to disassemble this rifle, and how to get it cleaned and oiled properly. Okay, so we'll start this off by, let me tell you real quick about my friends over at TWAD. Okay, they have an AR-15 cleaning kit. They sent me this to show you guys, and what you get is this neoprene padded mat here that has an AR-15 exploded view on here and has all the parts labeled, so in case you forget where a part went, or what, you know, when you took it apart, where that part goes, you can refer back to this diagram. But it also makes for a place for you to rest your gun or your rifle and work on it without scratching it or scarring it. The thing I like about it, it's chemical resistant, so it'll soak up chemicals, but it won't take the print off of this. And then the thing I really like about it is it's sewn all the way around, which gives you where it won't fray as it gets older as you use it. So I really like this pad. It's really a heavy, maybe like 1/4 inch thick neoprene. Now that also comes with a package of cotton swabs and this AR-15 gun cleaning kit. So you've got a little syringe there for your oil. You've got a bore snake, some cleaning pads, scrubber brushes, and you've got this special brush here just for an AR-15, which scrubs the bolt lockup and the chamber. So we'll use that, and then it also comes with a set of cleaning rods with a T-handle that you can run down through there and get cleaned up. So, you know, it has a, what else do we have in here? Oh, we've got a little brush too. Okay, so there's all the pieces that we'll need. And it comes with this, this has a belt loop. I suppose you could carry that around with you on your belt if you really wanted to, but anyway. So what we're going to use is I've got some rim oil, cleaning and oil kind of tissues. I've got some gun scrubber, which I like for just cleaning the fouling off of your parts, and then I've got just some rim oil, kind of what you would put in a little syringe like this, so that you can get in and put oil in particular places where it's needed. I've also got some blue shop rags, which I really like these for cleaning these because they act more like a cloth tissue than they do a paper tissue. So we'll have that as well. So first off, let's just disassemble. Let's field strip our AR-15 into its basic component. Number one, there's a takedown pin right here in the back, okay? And if you'll push it from the side, my side, the pin will protrude just a little bit, and you can pull that forward, and then your rifle will rotate like so. Then you can push the front takedown pin here and pull that out. Here we go. Now, step one, obviously, is to make sure your weapon is clear. I have cleared mine. The way to do that is just take your charging handle and pull that back. But if you pull the charging handle back, your bolt carrier group will come out. You have your upper, which is just the receiver and the barrel. It basically is all that's left there. And then you've got your lower, which, let me take my sling off of this. I'll put that over there. Is this group here, which houses the trigger assembly, okay? And that's all there is to that as far as a basic field strip. Now we'll take these things and we'll strip them down even farther, and I'll show you how to do that. It's real simple. Okay. Okay, so stripping the buffer tube and the buffer spring. So the buffer is here, and it's in the handle there. And all you have to do is just have something that's kind of hard to depress this little detent right there. And so if you'll push the buffer tube in, depress that detent, then the whole thing should just kind of slide apart there. There it goes. So your buffer rather, the tube is actually on the butt of the gun, is here. And now this does slide back and forth in the rifle. So as you fire around, this slides back and forth with the spring. It compresses the spring, and that's what works your cycling action on there. There are no really parts to take apart on this. This just needs to be cleaned, oiled, wiped down. Same for this, cleaned, wipe it down with a little oily rag, and put it back together. That's the easy step. So I'll just do that with one of these rim oil rags, because these are kind of pre-lubricated. This part is not very dirty, and I had some oil on this, so it is still oily, which is good. And that cleans up to looking like brand new with just a little bit of effort there. So there's that clean. And then we'll wipe down the spring as well. And then we can go ahead and just put that back together. We'll put that back together just so we don't have the parts out. Okay? So that's basically all there is to that. And that rag has some oil on it. This is plenty lubricated. So we're just going to stick that back together right quick. And again, you have to depress that little detent to get this go back in there. So here, a small handle or small flat blade screwdriver is your friend to just depress that detent and get the buffer back in there where it goes. Okay, so that's all there is to that. On to the next step. So we'll set this trigger group aside for a little bit. We'll come back to that because we did clean that. And I guess the next thing we could do is we could clean the barrel. So this is a pretty simple one. There's no parts left to move here. You got a little forward assist, which we'll just put a drop of oil on. But we'll use our bore snake here and clean this. What we're going to use is this little brush that comes with the kit. Is this little brush here, which is going to clean the chamber and the locking lugs. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to put a little bit of the gun scrubber in here, and we're going to clean the bore and the whole thing. So I don't think it'll hurt anything if we kind of, I'm going to put this down here so I don't get a whole bunch of junk on my mat, my new mat. But kind of spray this and get everything to start kind of loosening up in there. Okay, and what we'll do is we'll get our cleaning rods. Came with our kit. And our little T-handle. And we'll put them together where we can put this brush down in the chamber there. Okay. So this is, we're just going to clean. I'm going to stick it in from the end here. We get a straight shot at it. Just this first bit here. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to run this. We can run the. You can either use this bore snake, or I really prefer to use this other brush, smaller brush. Let me take this back off. So we're going to use this other little brush, which is like a 22 caliber brush. And in order to get it all the way through, we're going to have to use all of our pieces of our extension here for our push rod or push pole. So I'm going to put a little bit of cleaner on this brush itself, kind of soak that a little bit, and then run that down the barrel. Okay, now that's really tight, especially if you have something like I have here, which is a brand new brush. There it comes out the end. Okay, now what you don't want to do is pull that back through the barrel, because anything you push through there, you're going to be dragging back through your clean barrel. So go ahead and take your brush off. Now at this point, what you want to use is this little guy here with a hole in him to put a patch on and run a patch down the bore. Put a little bit of solvent on this patch and pass that down the barrel. And you can see how dirty that patch is from one time down the barrel. Again, we're going to repeat that until those patches come out clean. So there you go. So far we've got our barrel and our receiver clean. We've got our buffer tube clean and oiled. And so let's set this aside and we'll go on to this guy next, which is probably the most complicated. It looks like one piece, but this actually comes apart. This is called the bolt carrier, and it has the bolt, the firing pin, and several parts in here. We're going to take them apart and clean those individual parts, and I'm going to show you how to take it apart right now. Okay, in order to take the bolt apart, the bolt carrier apart, we're going to flip this over. Here on the other side, we have to take this little retaining pin right here out. So I'm gonna get that and pull that out right quick. I think with this little screwdriver. These come out really easy. Just lifts out. Okay, and then once that little pin is out, we'll put that over there for cleaning here in just a second. You can start taking the firing pin out. So here comes your firing pin, and there's the firing pin. And you can see it's pretty dirty. It's got some schmutz around there. It needs to be cleaned off. I have never had this apart, and so this has probably got 1,000 or more rounds on it, and so it is definitely time to come apart. And so I'll be scrubbing this with some solvent and cleaner and getting this looking brand new. So next we're going to remove the bolt, which is here, by taking this pin and rotating it 90 degrees. Okay, so it's kind of like the skinny side is going along the bolt here. And then we just move this over, and now we should be able to take this pin and just lift it straight out. Like that. Okay, so it comes out nice and easy. It's super dirty, going to need to be cleaned, but then the bolt will come out of the end here. Okay, and there's the bolt. So now I'm left with the bolt carrier, which is clean and ready to be, is stripped rather, and ready to be cleaned. And then one more thing we have to do is we have to take the, we can take the extractor out of the bolt here just to clean that. And that is done by pressing out this little pin right here, and then the extractor here will come out. I have a really small little drill bit here. I'm gonna push this pin, which is right here, out. And once I push that pin out, then I should be able to get the extractor out. That's really difficult to get out of there because it has never been apart and it is super dirty. So there's the little pin, and then the extractor should just lift away now. Now these parts now are ready for a little scouring, a little solvent, a little cleaning, and let's see if we can make them look brand new. Now these are the gas rings right here. That's one thing we need to pay attention to, is those rings, these little gaps in the rings right here, need to be 60 degrees apart. There's 3 of these rings, and you'll notice that mine, these 2 are very close together, and here's the other one over here. So when I put this back together, I'm gonna make sure that that gap is evenly spaced, 120 degrees apart, so that it's evenly spaced all the way around. So let me get to cleaning these and we'll see what they look like. So here's one more thing I'll clean before I put this back together, is clean this little gas key here. And a Q-tip works really well to get down in there and clean that carbon buildup off that back face that's in there. And so you can also clean that gas tube where that mates on your receiver. You can also clean this little mating part right here that the gas tube goes over, and get that clean with a Q-tip as well. Make sure that's nice and shiny. So here's one thing I didn't show you, is I kind of let my parts soak in the lid, and I use the lid to my spray there as kind of a little parts container to put parts in it to soak, especially the bolt. The back of the bolt gets a lot of carbon built up on this surface here. And you can see kind of where it's crusty. We're trying to get all of that off. They make a little tool that will go in there and scrape that, focus, and get that cleaned off. But I'm gonna have to use my little brush. All right, so now all my pieces that came out of my bolt carrier group there are all cleaned and ready to be reassembled. So let's see if we can put it back together. It's to reverse the steps that took to take it apart. Okay, so step one, putting our bolt back together, is to put the extractor back in. So just drop that back where it goes. It's curved on the back, so it's easy to tell you have it in there correctly. And then you have the hole where that pin came out of. So we're gonna take a little bit of our oil and put a little drop right there on that hole, just to give us a little lube there. Okay. And then we'll put that pin back in. You've got to kind of squeeze this together as you put that pin back where it goes. It may take a little tappy tap with a soft, I use the other end of my screwdriver to kind of tap that little pin home. But there's your extractor back in your bolt, okay? So now we can put the bolt back in the carrier, okay? So the bolt is gonna go on like so. And you want the extractor to be in the 11 o'clock position, so like right there, and that will allow you to get your pin back in up here, like that. And then you can turn that 90 degrees back where it was. 90 degrees, there you go. And now that's back together again. And we can give a little oil in there. A little bit of this goes a long way. And then kind of work that back and forth in there to get that oil distributed all along that surface there. I'll put another drop in there. Oh yeah. Okay. So the next step, of course, is to put our firing pin back in. Firing pin has to go in through the end. And then just simply slides home. And then we put the retaining pin back in here on the side. And that's it. So there's your bolt carrier, all cleaned, taken apart, oiled, and put back together, okay? So now it's time to put that back in our rifle. One of the things we want to do before we put that back in there is put a drop of oil on the little channel on the receiver where our charging handle slides, because this charging handle is aluminum, and you can see here we've got dissimilar metals, and when it gets dry, it starts to drag, and it has evidence of that. There's wear going on right here. So you want to kind of avoid that if you can. These rifles do like to run wet, so you know, put some oil on them and keep them lubricated. So I'm just going to put a little bit down in that channel where that runs, where the charging handle runs, and then distribute that. And now I can put my bolt back in. But except it won't go back in unless that is over there, right? It's out of the way. So make sure you're out of the way. Come on, charging handle. Charging handle in, and then the bolt slips in right behind that. And that's all there is to that. So that's ready to go back together. Clean, lubed, and ready to go. So one more step is let's quickly wipe down our trigger assembly and we'll oil that and then we'll be ready to get back together again. So here's our trigger assembly. So what we want to do is we want to lubricate these pins. One here that's got a rotating assembly. One down here. And one more down here. And so that will help. The trigger doesn't get any outgassing, and so that assembly should be pretty clean. And a simple just wipe down of that is probably all that it's going to require, because it shouldn't get any carbon buildup because it doesn't have any gas in that area. Okay, so next is to put our AR back together here. Okay, so we'll put our front pin back together. There you go. Snap that together. Then the back pin will press in. And we are reassembled. So the final step, once you've got everything back together, is just simply cycle the weapon and just make sure that what we're doing is distributing that oil through all those parts. We oiled the slides, we oiled the bolt carrier, oiled the charging handle, trigger mechanism. I can move the trigger mechanism a little bit and it feels great. So now I know that this is ready to go. Next time I need to use it, it'll be ready to rock and roll. So thanks for joining us today. Give my friends over on Amazon Twad a look. I'll put the description to this cleaning kit in the description down there. And hopefully I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching Guns Up Review.